Doesn't have to be reasonable. I don't care you've got 4 PhDs. Sorry, we pay minimum wage. Take it or leave it. Well, yeah, that's a very clever, convincing argument. The type of argument that one needs 4 PhDs to make, which I see every day, and you can tell at a glance. But unfortunately, we pay this. Offers for minimum wage. Yes or no? So if you have no alternative, you have to take what they give you, right? So negotiation leverage, whatever you want to call it, comes from having alternatives. Now, let's pretend you don't have a job offer in your back pocket, but you do have 6 job interviews lined up for next week, right? Of companies that you've applied to that want to talk to you. They're bringing you in for an interview. Is that an alternative? No, but it's something you kind of have. You could say, well, look, the odds of one of these coming through in some way is favorable, so I don't have to take something that's far below what I want here. It's all very kind of nebulous when you're a person looking for a job, but it's the same basic idea. That's the crux of negotiation, is having alternatives. So what you should do to give yourself negotiating power is to have alternatives, because then you're able to say, look, I don't have to take this. I got something else going on, so thanks for your time. Have yourself a great day. That's the reality. Without any of the psychology, without any of the persuasion stuff, that's the reality. It's not about persuading anyone. It's not about convincing anyone that you're reasonable. It's about getting them to sign an agreement, okay? And at the end of the day, that's what negotiation is, and that's what I feel is not taught or is not sort of talked about enough. Because a lot of times, as I'm sure a lot of you guys will know, people aren't super reasonable, right? They're playing hardball, and it's not a matter of convincing them. They are immune to being convinced, and they are immune to reasonable arguments. They're pushing for as much as they can get, just as you are pushing for as much as you can get, right? Mehmet says, hi, Bill. The salaries are fixed in my industry and in my country. The only way is to get paid more is to get management roles. Yeah, that's exactly what they would love you to think. And they're doing a very good job of convincing you that that's true. I'm sure that's absolutely true for a lot of people. Is that true for everyone? No, it's not. They would love you to think that. They would love you to think that you have no alternative than to take what they have. That's what all their skill, all their learning, all their efforts go towards, is convincing you this is the best thing you can get, and you should take it. So I don't know, in your situation, specifically what your industry is, in your region, whatever that is, I don't know if that's true or not, but what I can tell you is that statement is exactly what all their efforts are tailored towards achieving, having you think that. That's all I can say. Kind of coincidental. Matthew Harding says, what should be considered when negotiating salary for a remote position as opposed to on-site or hybrid role? Do some companies treat compensation differently for remote work positions? Companies do everything you could possibly imagine, no matter how ridiculous or unscientific or false an idea is. There will always be several companies out there that are implementing it. The world is a rich tapestry of people with different opinions and worldviews, and that includes this stuff. In fact, you may have noticed this, but every single organization approaches how to value someone slightly differently. Every department approaches it slightly differently, and every individual approaches it slightly differently. It is a very pseudo-scientific thing. How do I know this? Well, for a start, I used to teach a course on this in university. It was called Total Compensation. And Mehmet was talking about management compensation, like executive compensation, where they have lots of other ways of compensating you. This course was purely on worker compensation, and we barely scratched the surface in this course of how companies, have different methodologies for placing value on an employee, and then how the salary or the compensation is tied to that, right? It's very complex, right? And at the end of the day, you don't have to understand how they think. You don't have to understand how they value things. You just need the practical outcome of them agreeing. The good news is that that's what negotiation is. It's just look, this is my offer. Sign it or I'm walking away. Here's my offer. I'm going to leave now. If you do want to continue this, let me know. Otherwise, what is it? I'll get back to you, which of course means I will never get back to you, and we're ending this. That's what that means. So remote work, is that like something that you should take a step down in your compensation, or should you take a step up because it's more efficient? You don't have to commute an hour and a half each way like some people have to. You could just get started. You have less expenses at home because you're not paying for gas or maintenance on a vehicle to commute or whatever. No matter what lifestyle you have, if you drive a car or whatever, it's more efficient.